Woo! Y'all, I wrote a book. Okay. I am excited to be here with you, and also thought that it would be really cool to take a few minutes to do a little bit of a reading from A Return to Pleasure, and just to kind of talk a little bit more about, how we see this journey as integral to our ability to be able to find ways to thrive in the midst of chaos, whatever the chaos may be. So I'll start here. I was continually running from the shame of my sexual history and experiences. My body never felt like it was my own. Truly, by the grace of my ancestors, I made it through the valleys intended to destroy my belief in my divinity and my connection to my source. And once on the other side, I viciously started making changes in my life. If I was to live a full life of rest and feeling worthy, and of love and pleasure and romance without the looming fear of damnation, I was going to have to find a God who was less punitive and unconditionally loving as I had always been taught God was. It was no longer a curious search, but a desperate hunt for my safe place, my belonging in this world so that I could keep living. I found that God in dance always, but I was able to articulate and cultivate a visceral or full body, not just from the neck up, relationship with God through erotic dance. Erotic dance became the place where I could, at many times, lay naked before God and feel a deep sense of reverence for my body, my desires, my story, my identity, without shame or fear of harm. When we learn that seeking our pleasure is harmful through uninformed sex education, toxic reactions from our caretakers or guardians to sexual development or exploration as youth, taunting and teasing peer communities, being outed for our sexual identity or gender experience assault on our psyches and bodies, harmful spiritual ideologies that do not encompass sex as a part of the fullness of God, we inherently learn and begin to embody that pleasure is dangerous, disruptive, and not accessed at all, and not to be accessed at all, let alone should we be proud of it if we do. We are taught that in order to survive in our families, in our churches, in our peer communities, in our romantic relationships, in the world, we must contort and shapeshift and hide and deny any relationship to pleasure unless we want to be seen as someone unworthy of respect, adoration, and definitely seen as someone who brings harm upon themselves for provoking a lustful gaze. Now, we have an inherent muscle memory around pleasure that says if you touch this, you'll die. Emotionally, spiritually, socially, and sometimes even physically. There's no wonder that we avoid pleasure on every level. Flight, fight, or freeze or fawn trauma response is triggered by its mere mention. The unlearning of the lie that pleasure is a carnal distraction, but truly a heaven that we can dwell in on earth is my life's work. I want you to know and embody that pleasure as an integral fuel to your ability to not only survive, but thrive. I have to stop and just take a full pause and acknowledge my spouse, Miller. Because y'all, Jeanette actually brought me these photos today, y'all, of Miller and I. And I've got them sitting right here in front of me. Y'all, when I was like, I don't know that I'm a put this book, Miller was like, yeah, I hired you a book writing coach. So she gonna work with you so that you can get out of your own way and you can let this work be the thing that you've been calling it to be. And over the last, I feel like I have a picture that I found the other day, and it's like all my little note cards on the wall, and it's at our old apartment in Chicago. And Miller and I, we didn't have like a traditional wedding, so we went got hitched at the courthouse, and like we came back, we was like surprise, we got married. I was married now. It was beautiful and right, and like all the things for us, and but I always say that the wedding was like where we got a chance to live, and in Chicago, I'd never had a chance to like live on the lakefront. And against all Miller's better judgment, there was like a corner unit that opened up like randomly right after we got married, and they were like, "You want to do it?" I was like, "Oh yeah, baby." Swear I know everything's gonna be okay. Gonna be okay. Anyway, out of nowhere. Swear I know everything's gonna be okay. So anyway, out of nowhere. Swear I know everything's gonna be okay. Gonna be okay. I can spare a rip to get my baby back. Yes. And so there we were. I'll have to post a picture of it later tonight because I was like, oh, just that home in Chicago was so beautiful. It was just like really the start of the place where I was able to like have a container after having toured for 3 years to like sit down and kind of put some framework to, having been on the road. Mas hoje ele diz que não dá, mas deixa a cachaça acabar. Menino, te digo, tu tá bem perdido e ainda quer se achar. Mas hoje ele diz que não dá, mas deixa a cachaça acabar. Menino, te digo, tu tá bem perdido. E o pior que ela é safada, lá por cima é carinhoso. Ele faz tão gostoso, ele faz tão gostoso. Por isso que ele não se casa, na minha casa é perigoso. Porque ele faz tão gostoso, ele faz tão gostoso. Ele sabe que eu sou casada e até amo meu esposo. Mas ele faz tão gostoso, ele faz tão gostoso. Passei a vida de teimoso e acabei com esse teimoso. Ele faz tão gostoso, ele faz tão gostoso. Vai, faz gostoso e mexe devagarinho. With over however many people,
however many cities, and just like getting a chance to like categorize. And some of y'all know, some of y'all was there when Miller was documenting every single class, taking pictures, checking people in, selling tights. Like, listen, we was doing everything, and then I fed from McDonald's. Amanda knows. That was our running
Yeah,
joke.
yes, yes, yes.
I was so poor. So poor. I'm like, look, we out here clearly doing the Lord's work. I'm like, we had no money after the end of those classes, but it was like we had like we gonna get some Harold's or we gonna get some McDonald's or something. Oh, Miller, look, I can't even mention McDonald's to Miller now. Just like in the energy of like co-laboring with someone and like co-birthing something with someone and like bringing something in the world together. I think it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, who's out here, I did this myself. Like, I mean, I did a lot of it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna tell y'all, at that time, like right at that 2017 mark, I was definitely ready to be like, well, maybe maybe things have it's time to turn a new tide. And Miller just continued to be like, this is really interesting. Like I don't totally get it, but like it's interesting what you're doing, and just kept pouring into me like, what you need, what you need, what you need, and to be able to go from okay, people wanting to give you all type of scraps for love and want you to chase them around and just so that they can be there for a few minutes, and they want to doubt your greatness and make you questioning yourself and all of that. I was like, I remember being on that plane from New York after that class. I was like, I'm too good to be taking scraps for love. We're not doing this no more. And like, I remember we was in that class in Chicago. I don't know if anybody here was in that class. August of 2017. It was like August 4th. Ooh, yes. And at the end of the class, we always talk about like how deeply magnetic the space is just from people doing this like releasing work and calling in. And I'm like, so just call in what you want, y'all. Like we just gonna say it out loud, just put some name to it, put some voice to it. And I remember I was standing there and I was like, listen, I'm not taking no more scraps for love. I'm not chasing people all over nowhere. Like, I'm not doing none of that no more. I'm like, I just want somebody who just loves me enough that they would fly across the country just to spend 24 hours with me and just go home. And like, I mean, just like go out of the way type of love, and don't have to remind you that they went out of the way for you, And Miller was in my inbox. Where are you? Miller in my inbox. Greetings. And and it was the the rest is history, because as y'all know, like that was it. And so Miller just really believes in this work and believes in holding the space and making sure that it is safe for all of the people that are coming in, and like will really put the hammer down if need be. Okay. I'm sure some of y'all done been there when Miller done had to like straighten up real quick, make sure we was all good. And so I just have to just say thank you for holding space for me to be that wild artist, and like and finding my way to this making some type of sense, and for it to be not just for it to make sense, but for it to now be moving into sustainability, because we're not out here doing no more emotional labor in the face of healing and it ain't sustainable for our own lives. Amen. Amen.